Hey everyone, welcome back to Doubleview and CASA's video updates. With me again is Farshad. How are you?
Hi, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. Busy week ahead. I know we're expecting some results here soon, so I know there must be a lot of preparation going on behind the scenes.
Yes, absolutely. You know how heavy work it is before you get into the news releases and you want to cover all the angles.
Yeah, for sure. But you've been smiling this whole time, and I know we want to go over some stuff. So, where do we start? I guess do we want to start with some questions people have been asking? In the Telegram. For those who aren't aware, we do have a Telegram group where people can join, ask questions. Farshad's been extremely active there, answering people's questions. And I guess one that keeps coming up is deposits versus porphyries. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, majority of the questions are coming in comparison between the deposits, and I've answered it quite clearly in there. I hope I have, and it's about porphyries. Porphyry is a large system, very large system, very low grade. Normally, the larger they get, the lower the grade is. This is average, but the deeper they get, the higher the grade gets. So that's in a nutshell about these porphyries. How large are they? Sometimes they are 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers in length, like 2 kilometers in breadth, and they go as low as as deep as 8-9 kilometers.
Yeah.
So that's about these projects, and they generate billions of dollars cash flow for the companies, billions, multi-billion dollars. They are large. As I explained it before, Grasberg is one of them, for instance, has had 26,000 people working, or deposits in Iran, 32,000 people working in that, just on that mine.
Yeah.
That tells you how large they can get. For instance, the one in Iran is supposedly open pit, but it hasn't gone below the surface yet. It's just above the mountain, and they have been mining that for about 70-80 years now. it tells you these are great deposits, but the grades are, for instance, the one in Iran is never been announced, but what I have gathered around, they are in 0.3, 0.4% copper, and comes with a little bit of gold. Sometimes gold is higher here and there, and it comes with moly and etc. It's that size of these things that they run GDPs, portion of GDPs for countries like Iran, or in Peru, Constancia, 0.15 grams per ton and 0.2% copper. Very, very small, but that's 1% of GDP for Peru. And that's not a very large deposit compared to what we are looking at, the hat. We haven't delineated all the size of it, but it's about 12 square kilometers, highlighted by the IP anomaly that in these results, once we see the results and once they come out, I believe we have proven that IP works, and the IP is the signature of this. We were going to talk about that as well.
Yeah, let's hop into it. Obviously, so for IP, let's talk about, what, for people that haven't seen it before, like, what is IP? Obviously you guys put out a YouTube video, and we'll put that below, but I guess talk people through, like, really what was in this IP, and why it should be so great for you and for Doubleview.
Yes, not all the deposits, but deposits with sulfide, which is porphyry, is one of them, and one of them is VMS. When sulfides are in the ground, they accept charges, and these charges has a discharge rate. For instance, they add 2 nodes to the ground, very simplistic. 2 nodes to the ground, they inject electricity into it, and then once they're done, they calculate the discharge. It shows if there are sulfides in there. So wherever you see this red area in the center, it says it's chargeable, and when it's chargeable, it shows sulfides exist in there.
Yeah.
Now,
So the more power you get out on the other side, I guess, means that the in between is richer than other. Is that how they compare it? So obviously, metals are conductive to electricity. So they put one node, and then one node. And if they're getting more electricity in between, then you can tell the ground's richer with minerals. Is that kind of the mindset?
Somehow, yes. Sulfides are more, and sulfides means copper and gold coming along with it in a porphyry system. Yeah. And yes, the larger the sizes, yes, and mostly dischargeable areas, that doesn't mean exactly right there they exist. Mostly, yes, it's very true, but the ones around it also can, and they are mineralized, but it depends how you go, and you have to drill it and find out, and that gives you the volume. At the current stage, what we know about this IP that we have drilled, that this system, wherever we drill into the IP, we are in the mineralization. Wherever we go into it, we find it, attractive. And this IP is exceptional because this IP has been done by a 3D system which recently has come it's the new technology, and they use nodes, and they're very expensive. This generally cost our business partner about $1.2 million to get it done, and it penetrated down to 1,200 meters, and we needed to prove that. It's very high technology, and we drilled it. We announced it that we intersected mineralization right at the bottom, about 925 meters or so. And we had it. And I say that this is our first crack at the depth for the life of this project. I see ourselves very successful. So far, we have drilled 34 holes, and they're not many. And the bigger picture, we should wait first for the assay results to come out. I haven't seen them, to tell you the truth, and at this stage, at this time. But I'm very optimistic by what I've seen so far.
And I guess let's talk about those a little bit. So, obviously we expect those sometimes in the next week and a half. But I guess going into more detail, let's talk more about, really so before we get these assays, the drilling that went in that, we're going to be looking at the results for, maybe talk a little bit more on the drilling that we did and, what these assays are going to be for. So, in the past, like you said, you've done a decent amount of drilling so far, but this is the first one that's really going deep enough in your eyes, right? Do you want to talk about that in any way?
Sure. Yes, there's one thing in the deepest drill hole that we've done in here. When we drilled this portion of the property, it's drill hole number 26. We extended that because we had drilled before, about 600 meters before that, and going and deepening that hole for 300 meters or so was cheapest test to see the depth. All we needed to know is if it is mineralized, and we know it. That's the most important thing about this deposit. We have gone there, we know it. But in the next drill holes, which is 31, 32, 33, 34, we went around our latest location to test that to see if that one is mineralized. I believe we have proven that the IP works. That's a big criteria in our deposit, because when you know this IP works, now you can extrapolate on the other areas and start getting confident, and first of all know what size of deposit we're talking about, plus in the next drill holes, as we go, I'm expecting to see great results. And at some point, we should see really breakthrough. Maybe we have it already, I don't know it. But even if we don't have the greatest results of earth shattering, I expect at some point this deposit to give us really large, significant upside. Could be now.
Hopefully it's now. No, for sure. So I guess let's talk then about the report itself. So when people get it, I mean, compare this to other reports you've seen. What is a, good amount? Like, what's it like? Give me the good, like what, if you were reading it, what would be average, what would be good, and what would be like, wow, this is amazing. Like anything above this number is incredible. Like how does someone read it if they're looking at it and they go, wow, this is actually like really significant?
Yes. The richest, I believe there are many rich porphyry deposits in the world, but the one that I have been close to and I understand it, and I have spoken with people involved in that deposit, has been the Grasberg. Grasberg, believe it or not, the first drill holes that they put in there, I spoke with the person who was in there. The drill hole was 0.1%. Even the company didn't find anything in the first holes.
Yeah.
And they were going even to walk away from it. We're talking about the years that they used to put the rig on their back and go in Indonesia and drill it.
Yeah.
And at some point they said, no, let's get at it and see if we can see better. They saw 0.2% copper. And they had somehow encouragement in there. Then they moved further and they drilled the heck out of it, and they came up with higher numbers.
Yeah.
It got so rich, that's phenomenal. That it went to 7-8 kilometers down below, it went to 4.8% copper, 2 ounces per ton gold. I don't know where the bottom is on that, and no one knows. Where they are, if you want to know how deep it is, the temperature is so high for people to work in there.
Wow.
It takes a long time to get down there. That's why, as I said before, they have restaurants now. Food is delivered to them because you don't want to take 8,000 people, put them on the elevator, go for lunch and come back down. And things like that. It shows the magnitude, the size of these things. They start from the top to be lower grade. As they go, they get richer and richer.
Yeah. So, but I guess if someone's looking at this report, what is a great, what's a great number? Compare it to other people, you've seen, other reports you've seen that have been great. So if someone's looking at this report, what should they be looking for? By that, I mean, what number should make them excited? What number should make them be like, okay, cool?
Yeah. For our project, that's a great question because it depends on the project to project. For our project, because it's flat, I expect it to be starting from the surface, and it should have a criteria of open pit and all of that. I would suggest anything above 0.2% copper and 0.1, 0.2 grams per ton gold over significant length, over 200 meters above. That's going to make it attractive to the deposit itself. I tell you, in the future, just let's go fast forward. Let's say we have 200 drill holes drilled on this. We are 34 holes. Let's say we have 200 drill holes on this, and we have significant length, and we want to do a resource calculation. The person who's doing the resource calculation, he will consider anything in that envelope, let's say normally above 0.2% copper. Anything above that. So that's why the 0.2% at this time is a great value.
Right.
But we should expect more.
Hope for the best, for sure.
Yes, I'm always, for this deposit, I've considered 0.2 on the back of a napkin at this stage to be 0.2% copper or 0.2 grams per ton gold. to be my bottom line. Anything above that is great.
Okay, well, awesome. I guess that that gives people a good kind of insight. So, you heard it here. So that's awesome. That's awesome. I guess let's talk. Obviously we're going to get these results. Obviously we'll probably do another video about those results. But you've got some exciting I guess travel plans in the next 2 weeks. You're going to be coming to Toronto, going to the PDAC conference. Maybe let's chat about that a little bit. Is there anything that you hope to do there? Are you trying to network? What's the goal, for Doubleview and CASA at the PDAC conference?
Yes, in the 2018, when I was looking at other porphyry deposits or other projects that they were in our area, and they are of supposedly based on the number, they are higher grade or criteria like that, I went around and showcased the project to major mining companies. When I showed it to them and they did due diligence, they found out that this project has legs. It's really important. What was at stake? It was a large deposit footprint and the grade. That's where it counts. Size multiplied by the grade. That's what it counts in porphyry deposits. That was the reason several mining companies, they came, we went under CA, we signed for one of them, and we continued. Subsequent to that event, the major mining company, for their own reasons, not the project, they had to move on. And that made me very happy because they spent a good amount of money. They showed us the footprint to this project. They told us what to do. What do you want more than that without any expenditure? And we got it back, 100% back. Several major mining companies so far, they have contacted us and we've been in communication, and they're awaiting the results to see how it comes in this stage.
So awesome. I guess, you're going to have these results. You're going to be going to PDAC, and it looks like you're doing some good networking by the sounds of it.
Not only that, there are companies came from Australia. They don't have an office in North America. They came to my office literally to talk to me, and they are awaiting the results. I am planning to go right now. After the results, I go to PDAC. I will have my several meetings with some fund managers, with some major mining companies. Then from there, I'm not going to take a fast decision or jump into anything, because if we want to bring a partner for financing or as a major mining company, we got to be very cautious. I don't want to sell it that way, not outright sell. I mean, have a partner like that. Yeah. I want to go to Australia. In Australia, we have meetings already set up with major mining companies in Australia, and we want to go and have at least 2 meetings are already spoken for, and then after that I come in. It's going to be a month and a half, all of these happening. Then we know where we're going to go. If I don't get the real value for this, I never walk away from it. I know what it is in there. Okay.
No, I mean, hey, that's awesome. And so sounds good. That's a good plan, good future plan for Doubleview. Obviously, CASA as well coming. Is there anything else you want to say before we close this week's video off and say bye to everyone for now, and say join us next week?
Of course. I welcome everybody's comments. I like to listen. I like to answer questions. I hope some people, I'm not a multimedia guy, so some questions I may ask you and you say, oh, this is unrelated, but you try to intelligently answer me. Or some other person is a geologist. He knows things that he has worked on it, and one question can be irrelevant or not really relevant. What I want to assure the shareholders that I have done extremely in-depth review of the project. I've done a lot of due diligence, and I believe in the HAT project, and that's the reason that I haven't sold the stock in the company, and I have kept it, and I'm moving forward to the bitter end. Watch for the news. I hope it's a great news. There are great news coming out. And by the way, we have several news coming out in the next few weeks, and watch for the news.
There, you heard it here first. So watch for the news for sure. Obviously Farshad's extremely active in the Telegram. If anyone has any questions, jump in, ask him, ask other people questions. It's a really healthy environment. If you don't understand something, come in and ask it. Not everyone is a huge mining expert, and we're trying to make this so people can understand. So thanks for coming on, Farshad, and I'm sure we'll see these guys next week.
Thank you, Jason, for having me here. Very
Alrighty.
nice. Thank you.